It's about this guy and his life. Yeah, that made no sense. Hey guys, it's Armin. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello. Don't forget to subscribe down below as well as the notification bell so you can be told when I make a new video. Today, I am finally back after a fairly long break. According to YouTube, my last video was posted 3 or 4 weeks ago, can't quite remember, but if you were paying attention, you probably noticed that all of my videos were filmed at the end of December, which means I have not filmed and basically not posted videos in a long time. And that is because I was away from home because my parents had COVID and I just got back home yesterday, so here I am filming. Basically, I didn't feel like filming while I was at somebody else's house. I didn't want to like change up my background. Also, I've just been really busy and stressed, so I haven't been filming, but I missed booktube, so I'm here. Also, I, as you've guessed by the title of this video, have accumulated books for my extended break. So here I am. I'm gonna share those books. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't really bought any like new books. These are all like either from thrift stores or were given to me or came by other means. So let's just get into it. That's my mini life update, I guess, and now onto the books. So the first few books on this list were actually purchased from a local secondhand bookstore that is closing down. They're like migrating all of their stock online, and so they were selling everything for $1. Of course, I drove there and I went. It was like 30 minutes away, so I just like went over there and I got some books. The first book is House of Sand and Fog. I've literally never heard of this book, but it was on Oprah's book club at some point, and it is sort of a suspense novel that takes place in this house in the California hills. There's like some characters, there's some kind of something going on. I really don't know much about it. Again, I've never heard of it, but I looked it up and it had decent reviews and it sounded kind of interesting. I don't read a lot of suspense and I was thinking about getting into a little more suspense, so that's why I picked this up. The second book is kind of funny. It's called Jacob the Baker, Gentle Wisdom for a Complicated World, and it is just a book of these little anecdotes from this guy named Jacob the Baker, and I don't know, I read a couple of them and they were like thought-provoking, I guess, and it's pretty short. So basically the description of this book is: once there was a baker named Jacob who scribbled his thoughts on bits of paper as he waited for the bread to rise. One day, by accident, a small paper was baked into a loaf, and the woman who bought that loaf was so moved by the words of wisdom she found inside it that she returned to the bakery the next day for more. In that way, Jacob's simple sayings became known. Many people brought him their deepest concerns and questions, and the fame of his stories and parables spread. Now they have been gathered into this wise and gently instructive book for all to share. I think it'll be a fun read. The next book is actually one I've read before, and that is Farewell to Manzanar, which I had to read in high school, I think like my freshman year of high school, and it basically follows a 7-year-old girl, a Japanese American girl, who is interned with her family during the Japanese internment, basically concentration camps in the United States that took place during World War II in 1942, and it was a very moving, very touching book, very informational book, really like the first thing I ever read about Japanese internment, which is crazy that it took me so long to, you know, learn about Japanese internment, considering that it's such a big part of US history, but you know, they don't teach us that stuff in normal class. I didn't even read this in a history class. It was like in an English class where my teacher just really was enthusiastic is the wrong word. My teacher was very much interested in like Holocaust studies, and she would do a lot of like informational stuff about the Holocaust, work it into her lectures, and this was one of the things that she worked in because it was like kind of a US counterpart with, you know, the concentration, and so we read this book and it was very good, and I saw it and it was in great condition and it was only $1, so I went ahead and picked it up because I wanted to add it to my collection. Also, as an Asian American studies major, I also have been, you know, relearning a lot of Asian American history, and the Japanese internment plays a huge role in that, in just the dynamics of the United States. So the next book I picked up is called The Brutal Telling, and honestly I just really loved this cover. Again, I don't normally cover buy, but it was $1. I looked it up, the reviews were good. It says it's a New York Times bestseller. It's an adult fiction book, and I don't read a lot of adult fiction, as you can tell from my exclusively YA shelves, and I do want to like get more into adult fiction, obviously. So again, this is, I think, another suspense kind of mystery book. There's like an inspector. Oh, okay, that's what this is. This series, it's like kind of a loose series. It's not like chronologically based. I think it just follows like one inspector who solves different crimes, and I think there's like a few different books. But there is an inspector in this who is called to this town where somebody's like murdered body is found, and there's like a cabin in the wilderness and some stuff. Again, I don't know, it just sounded really interesting and it had good reviews, so I'm pretty excited to read this. I don't know when I'm gonna get to it, but it's one of the ones I'm looking forward to from this haul. The next one was also sort of a cover buy. Obviously I looked all of these books up on Goodreads before I bought them because I wasn't about to buy some like one-star book, but it's called Secrets of the Sea, and this one is about this guy who lives in Tasmania. I believe I read these synopses a long time ago and a lot has happened since then, so forgive me, I don't know what any of these books are about. The next book that I got is the last one that I got from this thrift store, and that is The Colony of Unrequited Dreams. This is a historical fiction that takes place in Newfoundland, and yeah, I've never read really any books that take place in Canada, and I lived in Canada for several years, so yeah, that was something I wanted to fix. I don't really know if this is like the way to fix that, but it seemed decently interesting, and it's kind of long. I don't know when I'm gonna read this because I'm not exactly into historical fantasy as of this moment in time, but I know that I go through phases, so when the time comes, I will be ready. The next 2 books were sent to me by a friend for a Christmas present, and they arrived very late because mail delays and stuff, so I got them in the mail, but I got them before I received the letter that my friend sent, so I was very confused because all of these thrift books, like books, were just showing up at my house one by one, and I could not for the life of me figure out who had sent them. The first one is Scythe, which has been on my TBR for a long time. I'm not even gonna bother telling you what it's about because I'm sure everyone on BookTube by now knows what Scythe is about. It's like a dystopian. Apparently it's really good and I need to read it, so glad to have that. The next one is a book I actually already own, but this copy is in great condition, and now I have a paperback and a hardcover. I'm gonna have to get rid of one of them. I know I don't need 2 copies of this book because I haven't even read it yet, so anyways, we'll figure it out when the time comes. But that is The Salt to the Sea, which is a historical fiction novel that is apparently really good. It takes place in 1945, follows 4 refugees. I don't know, it's something about the sea. I think there's a shipwreck and it's about these characters. I don't remember most of the synopsis, and that's all it says on the back, so I've heard it's really good. I'm really excited to read it, but I do also have the hardcover up there somewhere, so we'll see what happens. And the third book that my friend got me is Dune, which has also been on my TBR for a little while, and the movie's coming out soon, so I really need to get on this, but now I have it so I can read it. The next 2 books are the same book. I have 2 copies of Grim Lovelies because my cousin's school, his high school, just had like 3 bookshelves of this book. I think it's like the ones that it has like the marks on it, like the red marks that they make, I guess whenever they print too many copies of a book or something, and so they just had all of these bookshelves of this book, and they were like, take as many as you want. So he grabbed like 5 and he was like, do you want these books? And I'm like, I don't really, but like, okay, I'll take it, because it's like 3.5 stars. It's like a very stereotypical YA fantasy, which I'm like not into right now, but I thought I would take, they're like brand new condition, so I thought I would take a couple and I would give one to a library in my old town because they don't have like a ton of books and somebody might enjoy it. I don't know, so I'm donating one, and then I guess I'll read one and then see what to do with it. I don't know when I'm gonna get to it, but yeah, I have these. It does sound okay. Like, I'm not like super opposed to reading it. It's basically like there's like these classes of people. There's like the pretties and the beasties, and the main character is a beastie, which is like the lower class, and they're basically like animals who have been turned into humans, and whenever their master is killed, they have like a certain amount of time to figure out who killed the master before they like their spell breaks and they turn back into an animal or something like that. So yeah, it kind of sounds interesting. Like, it doesn't sound terrible. Just whenever I'm in the mood for something like this, maybe I'll pick it up, but not anytime soon. The last book on this list I have already read. That is Last Night at the Telegraph Club. This was sent to me by Penguin Teen. It just came out last month and I've already read it. It was amazing. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This is a historical LGBT romance, and it is so well written. It is about a Chinese American girl living during the Red Scare in the United States, and she is dealing with her own, stuff, her cultural stuff, her LGBT, identity, and just figuring things out, and it is very well written. If you're looking for something that kind of represents a culture in a very well written way. Obviously it is, written by a Chinese author and it's about a Chinese American, so there's that own voices aspect. And even though like I'm not Chinese American, I really enjoyed this book and the representation of the culture and her own struggles as a POC during that time, like during a difficult time where her group of people were being, you know, discriminated against. And you see a lot of things about microaggressions and just the little things that happen and how it makes her feel, and it's just like, it's such a good book. I highly recommend this book. I'm probably gonna write a review for it at some point in the future, so when that happens I will link it, or I will make a review on my channel. Either way, I will link it, so you should check that out. But until then, if you're looking for something like this, highly recommend this book. It was really good. Anyways, that is all the books that I have managed to acquire over the past 2 months. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books, or if you plan on reading any of these books. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And as always, don't forget to subscribe so you can be told when I make a new video, because hopefully I will be posting new content very soon. Thank you guys for watching. Bye bye.